Hello, this is the Cobra RM40SPB, which is a 16-inch or 40cm rotary mower with a roller, and it's powered by a Briggs & Stratton engine. And this is how it arrives with you in a strong cardboard box like this. So what I'm going to do now is open it up, take everything out, set it out on the table, then I can show you exactly how to assemble it and get it ready for mowing. So here it is, all out of the box, all the protective wrappings taken off it, and we can see we've got the mower here, which just needs a little bit of assembly, which I'll show you in a minute, with putting on the handlebars. We've got the grass collection bag, again just needs clipping on, only takes literally a minute or two to do that. And then we've got the instruction manual there for the Briggs & Stratton engine, we've got the mower manual, you've got a spark plug remover here, spanner, a clip for the cables on the handlebars, and the all-important engine oil, because it comes without any oil in it at all. So first thing to do is to get the handlebars sorted, so I'm just going to pop that underneath there to give me a bit of room. There's two protective caps on this when you get it, so they need to be taken off. They are purely to stop it scratching anything when it's in transit, so they just slide off and they can be disposed of. You don't need those now. And then we can take the handlebars, and it's quite a simple procedure to put this on. It's just a case really of what we're going to do is to fix the two ends onto these two red brackets here. But before I can do that, what I need to do, of course, is to take off the nuts and bolts that are already there. So they're only finger tight at this stage. And what you'll need when we fix these back on is a 13mm spanner. So that isn't provided, so you need to have that. So I'm going to take those off first. Take now all the bolts, so I can now offer up the frame, and because this is flexible at this stage, you can do this quite easily on your own, and it goes on the outside of the red brackets there, so it fits into the groove there. So, and just it's a case of lining it up, and what we need to do is to push one of the bolts through from the inside, so just get the holes there, and that slots into place. I'm also going to push one of the bolts through on my side, because it just then gives it a little bit of stability. Okay, so that will just help to hold that in position, and I can then put on the flat washer first, followed by the spring washer, and then we can put on the little bolt. Just do it finger tight for now, and then I'm just going to repeat that on the bottom hole. Sometimes you just have to give it a little wiggle to get it through. Make sure it's locked into position, and we repeat with the washers, flat, spring and the nut. And then once you've got it finger tight, that's where you need your 13mm spanner, and it's just a case then of tightening everything up. And with the spring washer, the idea is that we have to flatten that out. That prevents the nuts from vibrating off as the mower's running, so we need to get them fairly tight. So a good bit of tightening on those like that, and that's that side done. I'm just going to repeat that now on the other side. So that's all tight now, and that isn't going to go anywhere. And then it's simply just a case of lifting the top part of the handlebar up, and we can lock that, making sure we don't trap any cables, and we just use the two red levers, and that will tension it and hold that in place. Just need a bit of a pull on there. So that's nice and secure. And the good thing is, if you want to fold the handle down for storage, you just release these two levers and that will fold down. And while we're here, we've got the cable clip. So we've got the two cables here. So it's just a case really, we want these to be in a secure position here rather than flapping about. So I'm just going to pop them inside the plastic flexible clip, and then once we've got those in, we can just clip it onto the handlebar, and that's those in place. So that's the mower assembled. The final thing to do is now to get the grass bag ready, and all we need to do with this, it's very simple, is we can see it's basically there, but just for storage in transit, it's not clipped onto the steel frame. So what we do is just, this is a plastic clip. It can be a little bit stiff to open this clip, especially if it's cold. So it works just to get your fingers in the groove and just to rub them down the groove like that, and just to soften it a little bit, and it just opens it up and makes it slightly more pliable. And then it will, when we bring it over the top like that, we can actually get it to clip on. So it's like that. So you just have to soften it up a little bit. And the same with the side ones, sort of push them underneath and just soften them up a bit. This one isn't as long, so it doesn't take as much pressure to get it on. So just the softer they are, the easier it is to get them into position. So that's it, the 3 sides are on. And you'll also notice there are 2 plastic lugs on there. They just twist off, just twist them down. Again, these are on just to prevent the ends of the carrier causing any damage while it's in transit. So that is that all assembled, and it slots on the back very, very easily. So we just lift the rear flap here. This is the chute where the grass will come out, and it's simply a case of we're going to hook it onto these silver stainless steel springs there. So the bag just literally sits on there, so it supports itself, and then the flap goes down to hold it in place. That is the bag on for when you're collecting your grass, and there is a little flap on there which is the indicator to tell you when it's full. When it stops flapping and the air stops rushing through, it means it's full of grass and time to empty it. So to get this ready now for mowing, what we need to do is to fuel it up. We need to get some petrol in it and oil in it, and then we can get started. Petrol is here, obviously got a petrol pump on there, and what we're going to do is put some petrol in it, and we can use ordinary unleaded petrol from the petrol station E10. The thing with the modern petrols is they don't store as well as the old petrols that we used to get. So never leave the petrol in the mower for more than 30 days. It goes stale and it degrades. And never use old petrol. Don't think, oh, I've got a can that I've had in the shed or the garage for a year, because it just won't work very well at all. So it must be fresh petrol. And what is a good idea, and something that Briggs & Stratton recommend, is that you add a stabiliser to it, an additive like this. And this is mixed in with the petrol, and it just makes it burn cleaner, much more efficient in the engine. So that is also a good idea to do. But fresh petrol is essential in all your mowers. So we can top that up like that, put the cap back on, and then we need to put some oil in this. So the oil goes in at this side here. And we've got the dipstick, and what I'm going to do is just walk round to this side, take the dipstick out, and that is also where we add the oil into it. The oil is provided with the mower. We need 440 millilitres, which is what is in this bottle. So we're going to put it all in. But of course, the important thing, whenever you're adding oil to a mower, you should always work on the dipstick just to make doubly sure. So we can pour this in carefully into the engine through the hole at the dipstick. You can use a funnel if you want to, but it's quite a big hole. So with a little bit of care, you can get that in. Occasionally there is a residue of oil in the engine because they've all been tested in the factory. So just wipe the dipstick to make sure it's clean. And then we can put it in, lock it into position, take it out again. So on the dipstick there are 2 holes at the bottom. The lower hole is the lower level of oil you should have. The top hole is when it's full, and that is where the line of oil is, just across there where my fingernail is. So that is perfect now. And what you would normally do once you've run the engine for a short while is test the oil again. It's always just good to test it to make sure that it's all settled in, and just top up again if necessary. So we've got oil in, we've got petrol in, it's ready to go. So we'll lift it down on the ground and I'll show you how to start it. Couple of things to do before we start it. Firstly, we've got the starter here, the recoil, which will hook onto the handlebar. So to get that into position, I'm going to pull back the red handle there, and that takes some of the compression off the engine, and we can pull that and it just loops into this wire hook there. So it makes it nice and handy for starting. And before we do start it, we always lift the deck. For transportation, it's down on the lowest setting, and that will scalp the grass if we try and start it now and actually put a bit of strain on the engine. So I'm just going to lift that to a higher setting, and then once it's running you can then adjust it down to the height that you want to cut your grass. And finally, what we need to do is to prime it. When the engine's cold, this has got a little prime button there, this red flexible soft button there. We just push that about 3 times and that will just get some fuel through into the carburetor. Bearing in mind this has never been started, so it might take a couple of pulls, but normally it will start very, very quickly. Starting procedure is we pull back the red handle. We can't start it until that's pulled back, and that is also how you stop the mower. So at any point if you want to stop, that will stop everything, the blade and the motor. And then to get the self-propulsion to go forward, we push the black handle up towards the handlebar. So handle in, we're already primed, so here we go.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk and always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.